Hello yogis, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to our practice today. Today we're going to be focusing on the psoas, or what we call the iliopsoas, and that is that muscle that helps kind of use your rotation of your legs and also lift your legs. So every time you take a step, your psoas is active. And your psoas is one of the only muscles that stretches from the spine all the way down to the lower body. So connecting both the upper and lower body together. So every time you get out of bed or take a step or rotate your leg out or move it forward, your psoas is activated. It can be a very tight area of the body and one that if we stretch out a little bit and move through, we can help relieve some back pain, some emotional distress sometimes because we hold a lot of tension in that area of the body. So this yin yoga snack is focused on that. So for this practice, an optional thing is to have a blanket, but you don't have to. We're going to use a couple of poses where a blanket might be helpful for your practice, or you could use a towel as well. So go ahead and bring the bottoms of your feet together out in front of you. And then we're going to lean over to the right, take that left leg back behind us in deer pose. So this pose is sometimes helpful to have a blanket underneath the hips just to give you some lift if your hips don't come all the way down to the floor. A little support. You can take that left leg out back behind you as far as you want, or keep it in a little bit closer. Settling into your breath here if you need to, taking a support underneath this top knee or the outer knee, using whatever you have, blocks, blankets, pillows, to give you some of that support for this pose. Imagine really breathing into the space of the front of the hips, this area right between the belly and that front of the hip. This is where we often really feel that psoas a little bit more. Gently tuning into your breath for your practice. It is said that where our attention goes, our energy goes as well. So really bring your awareness to this space of where the psoas is located. And then just beginning to turn yourself towards the right. So that may be where you end up over the front knee, or you twist around a little bit further. We're going to come down about halfway, reach around behind you, and reach for that left ankle. So maybe the knee comes back down to the floor. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you come down a little bit lower. Maybe you don't. Just a few more breaths here. Releasing your back leg and very slowly coming all the way up. Taking a moment or two to keep your feet flat on the floor, drop your knees side to side. Just notice how that left side feels in comparison to the right. And then bring the bottoms of the feet together once again, this time leaning to the left, taking that right leg back behind you, toes flexed or flat. This side is different, so maybe you would make some adjustments and use some supports a little differently under the knees or under the hips. One hand on the inside, one hand on the outside gives us a little bit of lift to come back to center. Just 2 more deep breaths. And just like we did on the other side, starting to turn a little bit toward the left this time, reaching back behind you for that right ankle or foot, maybe starting to lean over. Maybe it feels better to have your foot to the inside or the outside of the foot. Maybe you come down a little ways, maybe you come down a lot. Because in yin, we're working mostly with the connective tissue. Connective tissue is interwoven around each muscle fiber and integrated into the muscle fibers, as well as in the areas around the muscle. So wrapping around the entire muscle itself. So we move into a yin pose, we're helping loosen up, make some space in that connective tissue, loosen up any adhesions or stickiness or tightness or tension, so that the muscle itself can perform better, be more open. Gently release that hold on that back leg. Come up. Bring the bottoms of your feet flat and start to windshield wiper the knees side to side. And taking that blanket or beach towel that you have, maybe spreading it out for a little cushioning. I like to have a little bit of cushioning under my feet when I come into our next pose. So taking either your heels directly underneath your hips or to the outside of your hips, leaning forward just a little bit, and taking your thumbs to rotate your calves out of the way. So this is going to rotate them out to the side, which is going to give you a little bit more space to settle either in between your feet. Here you can start to lean back a little bit. You can start to lean back a little bit further. You can come down, use a pillow or support. Your knees can come wider, and that's okay. Just making a nice deep stretch in the front of the hip flexor, that space. There's a lot of hip flexors that work in this area to help you lift your leg and rotate it out. Maybe you find that you have the space to come down all the way or part of the way. Finding whatever works for you and coming out of it if you think you went too far, and that sometimes happens. Maybe your body's not just ready for that quite yet. Wherever you are, gently pressing your elbows and your hands into the floor, very slowly making your way back up. Coming back to that original position we had in butterfly, bottoms of the feet together, feet a little further away from you, and then just start to forward fold. Maybe waving your butterfly wings a little bit. Very gently pressing yourself all the way back up. Maybe windshield wipering your knees side to side again. all the way down left and right. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. We're working a little bit more into the space around the hip flexors, particularly the psoas, to sort of find some opening in the inner leg, the top and front of the thighs, a little bit into the lower belly space and the lower back. That psoas is attached to the upper part of the leg and also to the lower back, I would say, sort of mid-lower back. And so you want to really move all those spaces around and really stretch everything around it too, to give it more space, to give the tension less tension in there, to relieve some of that tension and pressure. So I hope this helps a little bit, a short little snack to work with your psoas. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me. Have a great day.